You find yourself lost in Irvingland. Last time, Professor Robinson was being pulled toward a huge plant that had grabbed onto him. Dr. Smith is there, but he's no help. He's cowering like Robert Burns' mouse.
Smith! Smith! Give me a hand! Help! Help! Somebody help! Help!
It's just that wild thing from last episode inviting you down for lunch.
Don't get too close, Don. Smith! Get over here! No! No!
Now Don is in it too. Smith won't do anything, though he does finally run screaming back to the ship.
Will, my boy, would you be good enough to take the rope to your father and Major West down by the drill site?
I'm glad he's conveying the urgency of the situation. Will protests but heads that way. Smith actually goes inside to rest.
Will!
Dad! Don! Grab this rope!
Secure it to that tree!
Will saves the day.
I'd have been here even quicker if Dr. Smith had told me you were in trouble.
Now he's in trouble. Come on.
Is this the way to show gratitude to someone who saved your life? Careful! My shaving lotions are in this bag.
Judy protests, but the decision has been made.
You'll regret this, Major. I promise you. Remember, I warned you. If you don't take me with you, no one will go. And now, I must say goodbye to the children, with your permission.
That's the fuel they've collected to blast off. I wonder how he plans to fulfill his threat.
John? John? Look. The deutronium. It's gone.
Don? You bet.
Don is going to enjoy this. It doesn't take long to catch up with Smith.
All right, Smith. Hand them over.
Them, Major? Whatever are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. The missing deutronium canisters.
Oh, is some of that precious substance missing? How unfortunate.
Yes, that knowing smirk proves you're all broken up about it.
But let me assure you, Major, I haven't the foggiest notion where your canisters might be.
You're asking for it. You haven't the foggiest notion, eh?
Smith says, "You're going to leave me behind." Don says if it comes to a vote, that's the side I'm on. They almost have enough deutronium to blast off. Smith is hiding behind some rocks watching the drilling and refining operation. At least he thinks he's hiding. He forgets Don has a military man's eyes.
Judy. I didn't want to scare Will, but actually our fuel-to-weight ratio is going to be very critical.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that Smith will probably have to be left behind.
We shall see.
I thought Daddy said he was taking Dr. Smith.
Shh, I'm just teasing. Smith's up there behind the rock listening.
Judy doesn't think it's funny. Smith doesn't realize he's teasing.
Who's that?
It's your dear Dr. Smith. I just wanted to say goodbye to you before you leave.
Bye. But you're going with us, Doctor.
He won't believe it, no matter what Will says.
There is a way. I know how we can produce all the deutronium we need. Like that.
How?
Come with me, my dear boy.
Anytime Dr. Smith says, "Come with me," to Will, there's a very good chance it won't turn out well. He takes Will to his campsite and shows him a plant that ate his shaving kit.
I grabbed the thief, forced it open, and plucked my shaving kit from its greedy mouth. I chanced to glance back inside the pod. And do you know what I saw? The plant had created an exact duplicate of my shaving kit.
It's easy to see where he's going with this. Take him with you and he'll use the plant to duplicate that deutronium Will is holding. Will hesitantly gives him the canister. Oh yeah, the plant laughs when you give it something to eat.
1, 2, 3. It's done. Here is the original. And here is the duplicate.
Does it have deutronium inside, or did it just duplicate the canister? Either it did duplicate the deutronium, or he switched canisters.
Hurry, Will!
Oh well, he can make plenty more with the plant, right?
Well, he discovered these plants that duplicates whatever you put in it. You put in this canister and 2 came out.
Let me see that.
He can make all the deutronium we need. All he wants is your promise that he can go with us.
This is a plant.
That answers both questions. Yes, he switched canisters, and no, he can't make deutronium, or anything else.
He gave you this fake and kept the real deutronium.
But why?
Because he knows we can't go back to Earth unless we have enough deutronium. And he's trying to blackmail us into taking him.
I think Don is about to mess with Smith's head again.
But what he doesn't know, Will, is that while you were gone, we found a last little pocket in that vein and already have enough deutronium without his canister.
I'm glad. He shouldn't have tried to trick me.
Let's get that back to the ship where it'll be safe.
And leave Dr. Smith out here.
When you've lost Will Robinson, you know you've blown it. That boy believes in everybody, except you.
Oh, Dr. Smith.
Professor Robinson, may I have a moment? There's something I should like to discuss with you.
All right, what is it?
Well, it's in the nature of a compromise, let us say.
Dr. Smith, would you please come to the point?
He says, it can't hurt to have some extra deutronium, and I'll bring it to you if you'll guarantee me a spot on the ship when you leave. John says, we'll take you with us if it's humanly possible. Smith says, good enough. I'll go get the deutronium.
Good heavens. They feed on deutronium.
Or not. He's going to sound like a typical grade school kid trying to explain this one. The plant ate my homework.
I presume this means that I'm once again doomed to be left behind.
Well, bargain is a bargain.
Yes, I suppose it is. But I ask you to bear in mind that, unlike the rest of you, I did not volunteer for this mission. If justice is to prevail, I should be the first name on the list of those departing.
I shall bear that in mind, Dr. Smith.
John Robinson is not the kind of person who would leave anyone behind like that, no matter what they've done. If and when the ship blasts off, we all know Smith will be on it. But since, like most people with questionable ethics, Smith assumes everyone else in the world is just like him, John can mess with his head a little and maybe get him to rethink some of his counterproductive ways. And by the way, Doctor, you may not want to press the whole "I didn't volunteer for this mission" thing too far. If they start asking how you did get on the ship, and if the truth comes out, even John Robinson might make an exception.
Are you going to have to stay, Dr. Smith?
That question is still before the High Tribunal.
That means Dad hasn't decided yet. Well, if you do stay, could you tend to my garden for me?
Your garden will wither and die, I can promise you that.
Yes, he'll leave himself without any food just to spite you all. Take that! Don says, I'll do my best to make a way for you to be on the ship, but no promises.
Does that mean I can take the bloop?
How can you even think of taking that beast when I may have to remain?
I think the bloop should go. So do I.
Well, we don't have a capsule for the bloop, so that's out of the question.
I'll build her a capsule.
That's a deal. You build a capsule for the bloop and she goes.
Penny had better get used to sharing the bloop with an army of scientists, biologists, geneticists, pharmacists, numismatists, lyricists. You name it, they're going to want to study her. The best thing to do would be to keep her out of sight so you can keep her as a pet.
Of course, that cuts the available weight still further. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Smith, but things don't look very good for you at all.
Bloop indeed.
Contrary to what he said earlier, Dawn is enjoying this. Judy isn't. She goes out that night to check on Dr. Smith and examines the enormous plants for herself. She may be examining it a bit too closely. It's done something to mesmerize her, and it's clear she doesn't know what she's doing. Smith, of course, knows exactly what to do.
Problem has been solved, dear friend. By tomorrow, I shall be winging my way back to Earth.
It is not possible. The situation has not changed.
That's true, but the balance of power has.
Use Judy's peril to save his own miserable skin. Now, if he were to save her, do something just a little bit selfless, something that serves everyone and not just himself, they might be more inclined to take him along. But force and intimidation are all he knows, just like every bully who's ever existed. And we saw at the head of the show how much substance there is behind the big talk. He wanders over to the ship in the morning and starts dropping little hints about why Judy isn't there. When the family discovers she isn't in her room, they decide to listen to him.
Now then, as I see it, there are two alternatives, and the choice is yours. Number one, we leave for Earth as planned, with me taking Judy's place on the ship.
Well, now, you know we can't do that.
I thought not. So you choose the other alternative.
Exactly what is the other alternative?
Major West pilots me back to Earth.
He says, once I'm clear, I'll radio where Judy is, and when I get back to Earth, I'll arrange a rescue mission for the rest of you. But here's the part he forgets. Once they're clear and he radios where Judy is, all Dawn has to do is break Smith's neck, go back and pick the others up, drop off Smith's carcass for the sand monsters or whatever, and point the ship toward Alpha Centauri. Smith is going to lose regardless because he only knows one way to do things, and it's not going to work. They have too many ways out of it. Dawn can string Smith up by his heels until he tells him where Judy is. He can do the partial trip I described, except he can just punch Smith's lights out, then drop him off and leave him there alive and conscious. But no, his plan will be thwarted in the way he least expected.
Judy!
Judy! Oh, Judy! Oh, Judy! Oh, my darling, you're back. Are you all right? All right.
That's not Judy. That's a plant duplicate. It'll take him a while to realize it. At a celebration dinner that includes Smith, she has a special aversion to salad and decides to go to bed early. Later that night, Smith is out at the plant bed hatching yet another scheme.
Just one of these little marvels should be enough to make me a rich man when I return to Earth.
I'm not sure how effectively you can spend money made out of plant matter. They're bowing to her like she's their queen. As I said, that's not Judy. That's a plant duplicate. Worse, she has the canisters of deutronium.
Good heavens. She's one of them?
Come here.
No! No!
Come here.
Observe the big, brave Smith. He stands strong with nerves of jelly. She's bringing the deutronium to the plants. Smith says it's not a good idea to give them all of it.
If you give away all the deutronium, the Robinsons will wonder where it went. And I shall be forced to tell them. and you wouldn't get any more.
He says, if you give me enough for Major West and me to leave this planet, we'll leave the Robinsons behind and they can make you all the deutronium you want. We know that's a lie. The vein they were drilling tapped out just about the time they got enough deutronium out of it. So who knows what the plants would do to the Robinsons when they find out they can't make deutronium. As if Smith cares about that. She agrees and gives him some, then goes off to feed her friends.
Holy cow! Oh, man, hurry up here, quick! Hurry up!
Will, what are you...
Hurry up!
Why? They don't seem to be going anywhere. The chariot is right next to the hatch, so John and Don are able to get in it and start firing its guns to destroy the plants.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Judy, what are you doing? I can't stand it. They have to stop.
She climbs in the chariot and rips out the power to the gun. Nobody can figure out what's gotten into her. In the ship, the interrogation begins.
I'm sure you are aware, as Dr. Smith is, that we, the plants, are capable of reproducing an image of anything. I am simply such an image,
What about our Judy?
quite safe and completely unaware of what's taken place.
Will you give her back?
No.
She says, we need deutronium. I already fed yours to the plants last night. Get busy and make more.
We don't make the deutronium. We find it in the ground. Now our source of supply is depleted. There isn't any more deutronium.
Then we won't be leaving this planet, will we, John?
I'm afraid not, darling.
You lied to me. You said they could make more deutronium.
Smith is in the soup now. He let them think this was their Judy. He knew about the deutronium. He betrayed them in every possible way. If the goal was to get them to take him along, this was not the way to achieve it.
You know where she is? Only in a way. You know where she is. I can't speak if you're choking me.
I believe you just did, so keep talking. He explains watching her vanish into the flower, then John says, you're going to take us there. But how do we get past these plants? We can't burn them, the fire might reach Judy. Likewise for freezing them.
It'll work. She'll be all right.
What are you talking about?
You can freeze the plants and it won't hurt Judy.
Well, how do you know it won't hurt her?
I was experimenting with the plants a few weeks ago, and their freezing temperature is 44 degrees.
Good enough. She might shiver a bit, but she won't be harmed.
Break out the decontamination freezing units. All of them. And you get ready.
No. No. Get ready to lead us to Judy and then be exiled again, this time for good. If we do find any more fuel, you won't know about it until you watch us blast off without you. At least that's what I do, but sometimes I'm not the nicest person in the world. Smith has thwarted or bungled every attempt they have made to have a life and see about getting where they're going. Anything that might benefit everybody, he won't have it. His priority is himself, and the rest of them only have value insofar as they can help him get back to Earth. If they're not good for that, they're expendable. So I want him to explain to me why they shouldn't view him the same way. If they follow his own ethics, leaving him there is the best move. With their portable decontamination freezing units, they make their way to Judy. Throw Smith in there. A plant version of him would probably be a lot more personable. Judy is fine, no harm done at all. Next day, we see Smith doing what he does best.
Stop! Stop! I can't go on. Your father's vicious desire for revenge has broken me. Zachary Smith has finally been brought to his knees.
Whining like a little puppy because he's not as tough as a 9-year-old.
It's not revenge, Dr. Smith. It's just that we've got to gather these rock samples from all over to see if we can find another vein of radioactive ore.
Since you gave away the stuff we had, we have to find more. And that means you work just like everybody else.
Stop that!
That is the final indignity. Go and tell your father to vent his hostility on someone else. Zachary Smith draws the line at carrying rocks for animals.
He storms off in a huff and encounters Penny. She's found 2 interesting items. The first is an egg bigger than a softball. And the second?
Hey, this is one of the machines that the aliens left when they came.
Penny is ready to get away from it. Her dad said not to go near those things.
You know about my bad back. Why don't you?
Debbie didn't get the memo, and even if she did, she can't read. She'd probably eat it. Smith has convinced Penny to retrieve the egg. Once she does, he's off to make the omelet of a lifetime.
Hey, Debbie, get down there. You know what Dad said about that. Come down this minute. Debbie! Oh, Debbie, come on, darling. Come on.
I wouldn't stand in that circle if I were you. I have a feeling it means something. Told you. It was nice to see Marta Kristen get to flex her acting muscles a little. It's just too bad she couldn't do it as the actual Judy character. It gives you some idea how bland the character is so far that the only way the actress can try out some different expressions is to be replaced by a sentient plant. When I was 12 and Penny disappeared in that scene, I fantasized about going into the TV and rescuing her. I can't remember any of the outrageous heroic things I did to save my lady fair, but it always ended with her being infinitely grateful, so grateful she gave me a kiss. That was as wild as my fantasies got when I was 12. Probably just as well.